now that we have a decent sounding drum set, and don't worry, we'll mix more on that a little bit later, we're going to move on to guitars. In a sub-mix track, I have placed both rhythm guitar tracks and the bass track. So let's check those out. Which that's a pretty good sounding bass on its own, but that's not the tone I want for this song. So I'm going to add a compressor to kind of smooth it out, so no matter what notes I've played on the bass, they're all going to be kind of the same level. Again, you can see that compressor working. It's constantly on, which means it's always compressing, bringing levels up, pulling levels down. And I want a sort of distorted sound on the bass for this one. So I've used this amp simulator. First 31 band EQ. As you can see here, the EQ is similar to a kick drum or a tom, but I've added some more of the low end, anywhere from 31 on up to 80, where the kick drum's main low end is going to be around 100, 125, 80. So you don't want to cross the two. You don't want to give them both a boost at the same frequency. They're going to clash with each other. And on the second equalizer, I've pulled out frequencies that I thought didn't sound so great. So that tightens it right up. Same with the parametric. I've added, sort of rounded off on the high mids and rounded off on the lows. And then finally another compressor, yes, yet another compressor, to smooth everything out after it's been processed by the rest of the effects. And there's our bass tone. So let's move on to the first guitar, which was recorded with my actual guitar preamp, a power amp, and a 412 cabinet. Now at first listen you might think there's nothing wrong with that. It just sounds like a distorted heavy metal guitar. So I'm going to pull out some lows with a 10-band equalizer on this guitar because you don't want to pull out mid-range on a guitar and leave lows and highs. That's what you pretty much do with toms and kick drums and maybe even bass guitar. But with a guitar, mid-range is going to be what cuts through the speakers. Just like when you're playing live, mid-range is going to be what cuts through the PA system and makes your guitar heard over top of everything else. So I've pulled out 32, and that's going to stop it from thumping and having more low end than, say, the bass guitar or the kick drum. You don't want that. Let's play a little bit of it. And here we're pulling out frequencies from 20 to 50 hertz. Add that compressor, which again, it's almost always crunching down on that signal. And a little bit of reverb. That guitar didn't need a whole lot of processing, in my opinion anyway. I like my preamp and I like the way it sounds. Does not sound like a heavy metal guitar. Sounds like a comical guitar. But if we add shred, here's what you get. And shred's got a noise gate built right into it, and reverb, treble master, delay. You can move the microphone around in the cabinet, so it's very versatile, and I think it sounds really good. So basically all I did after shred is add the compressor. Again, always crunching down on the signal to make sure everything stays even. And that's about it for that guitar track. So the first thing I'll add is a compressor, just to smooth things out, so some of the harder picking is not louder than some of the softer picking, things like that. Add this 10-band EQ, and again pull out the lows, some of the major highs to keep some of that cymbal bleed out of there. And I adjusted some of the mid-range to make it sound a little bit different than the first guitar that was recorded through the cabinet, because you want to have a different tone or it's not going to sit on top of the other one. It's just going to sound like the same guitar and they're going to mesh together. You won't be able to pick out the guitar solo. So we changed that a little bit. And I like to use this classic chorus, but I set it to a preset called vocal spread, which basically makes the guitar sound much more stereo. It sounds very large, very huge. And you can use that on vocals as well. And then the Acoustica Pro Studio Reverb I put on the solo, and the classic delay. So now we have this. And at first that may sound like too much delay, too much reverb, but once you mix that in with the other guitars, drums, vocals, bass, it buries all that and your guitar just sounds large and lively.